Imagine a world without choices. Imagine you can't make your own decision. That wouldn't be a world for me. That wouldn't be a world for you. UIC.
Tell them we're gonna be stronger. Together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Gonna be stronger together. Time we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. It isn't that alright?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. Good night, everyone that's on. Good night, GMH. Good night, Alan Scott. Lion with the Jungle. Blessings. Bless up yourself. Tonight we have our show. On our show, we'll be talking about our security officers. Well, you know, private officers that are engaged in private employment with companies. And so I don't know if you've heard, but recently the courts have ruled, or the courts ruled, that security guards engaged with Marksman Limited are employees, not contract workers. So what's been happening in the security industry, or in the security industry, is security guards have been deemed or titled as contract workers, but this ruling by the courts actually said that they are, the security guards for Marksman are actually employees and not contract workers. So this now has kind of shaken up the security guards industry, or the security industry, because there are a lot of other companies that are applying the same kind of thing for their workers. And of course, you know, workers in the industry have been complaining for years of poor treatment, long working hours without overtime pay, and the absence of other benefits accorded to workers categorized as employees under the law. And so tonight we're going to be talking with a couple security guards on the issue, and their take on the issue. We're also going to be speaking with Mr. Patterson. But before we get to that, just want to highlight who is here. All right, so New Era Entertainment, bless up yourself. We need all companies, both small and large, to come out and protest. Alan Scott, need two big strikes weekly till end of February, and then them done. All right, so tonight, as I said, we'll be dealing with the issues that our security guards are facing. All right, so first I want to look at what the issue, what is this whole issue, where did it start? And so I'm going to play a video for you guys that kind of breaks down what has been happening, or what has happened recently in the courts. All right, so we'll take a look at that video and then we'll come back.
Turmoil of immediacy, how the Jamaica Society for Industrial Security is describing last Friday's court ruling in the case of the National Housing Trust versus Marksman Limited.
At a press conference on Friday, the society said the ruling will impact the entire security guard industry, and while they do not have a problem with it, the instant implementation is causing challenges. The Supreme Court ruled that as at midnight September 23, security guards were to be treated as employees and not independent contractors. It was a part win for the NHT, which was seeking to have Marksman pay over employers' contributions. But the implications are far-reaching. It now means, among other things, changes to the work week for security guards down from 60 hours to 40.
Therefore, we now have to pay the overtime rate on any work done in excess of 40 hours. The security officers are now entitled to paid vacation, 10 days paid sick leave. There comes into the equation the whole matter of notice pay, redundancy, the likes.
And so, the cost of providing security services will increase by roughly 50% immediately. In other words, if it cost $10 to provide security services before September 23, it will now cost $15, which will have further implications.
So those changes in the labor relations and the labor agreement with the officers results in a, call it 50%, a rounded off figure of 50% increase in the cost of our labor, which has to be passed on to the consumers of security services.
Lieutenant Commander George Overton, who is president of the Jamaica Society for Industrial Security, stressed that the society, which consists of 28 companies, does not have a fundamental problem with the ruling. But
the challenge that we have is that, and we did caution before, that the court ruling would be immediate and definite. So as of the 23rd, which was the date of the delivery of the judgment, at 1 minute past midnight on that morning, that ruling became effective. And that is what has thrown the industry into turmoil.
Thrown into turmoil because the increased cost is impacting security companies already.
We started to incur costs that had not been negotiated with our clients. We start to incur expenses that were not provided for in our contract pricing. And we also had to change immediately what our relationship was with our security officers. There's no time or room to negotiate our position. The court is definitive and final. So that's the challenge. It's not that we have a problem, it's a challenge.
And so, the JSIS shared 6 proposals they've already put to the government to help avert disruption to the sector. One of the proposals is for the government to enact legislation to change the work week from 40 to 60 hours by way of an amendment to the Minimum Wage Act. This would eliminate the additional costs associated with overtime. But President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, Helene Davis White, does not support that aspect of the proposal.
It can't be that the security guard industry is different from everybody else, and that the security guard industry expects that these changes will be made to accommodate the industry. The security guard industry has to accept that they need to operate in the context of the existing framework as regards hours of work in Jamaica.
Mrs. Davis-White says the establishment of a joint industrial council is needed to determine the best way forward.
With KFC.
All right, so I hope that gave you a little background on what we're talking about. So because of that issue with NHT and Marksman Limited, where the court ruled that employees or workers engaged with Marksman are really classified as employees and not contract workers. You know, other security companies are saying, as you heard, are saying this may well apply to us as well, and so we're now going to have to change things, or we want things to be changed for us, and so this is what is causing a bit of a turmoil in the industry, and there are some security guards that are actually very restive right now. And so I'm going to bring on a couple security guards. These two people are security guards, and they have been working. They have been working as security guards for some time now. And we just want to get their view on the whole situation. So I'm bringing on Miss Taylor and also Mr. Williams. Miss Taylor her video is not it's not working, so we only have to we can only hear her voice. Good evening, Miss Taylor and Mr. Williams. Hello, Miss Taylor, Mr. Williams.
Hi, good evening.
Oh, good evening. How are you doing, Miss Taylor?
I'm good, or at least trying to be.
Trying to be good. Yes, I understand with all that's happening. So give us a little background on yourself, how long you've been working with the company that you're with.
I go by the name of Taylor. I've been doing security work for over 3 years now, but I've been working with this specific security company, which is King Alarm, almost 2 years now.
Okay.
And working as a security, it isn't easy, trust me. But we have to do it because we want to feed our family and take care of the bills and live as a regular Jamaican.
That's right. That's right. All right, Mr. Williams.
Yeah.
Good night, Mr. Williams. How are you?
Well, not too bad now. I was trying to get in for a very long time and I barely can't hear you clear. But
you can barely hear me?
Yes, man, it's all the food more close, you know?
Yeah, see if you can turn up the volume on your phone.
Huh?
See if you can turn up the volume on your phone. To see
well,
if you hear me.
The highest it can go. Nowhere higher than that.
Okay. All right.
But so what you have to say? Yeah.
Yeah, so give us a little background on yourself and tell us how long you've been working with the company that you're with.
Well, tell you the truth, you know. The company what I'm working with presently now are actually working for over 1 year now. 1 year, let me say. 1 year and 2 months now. You understand? And things like that. But apart from that, I work with other company for actually 4 years and 9 months and things like that. And tell you the truth, bad experience. You understand me? Bad experience is that I find that most of the time when I work, I find that some of the time I have to end up working some various hours, some numerous amount of hours in order to make up my salary, because the salary is so small in such a way that we can't even able to, me can't even able to make any form of plan. You understand? Because what has happened, you know, when you're working with some of these companies, you know, it's like them find ways and means to draw back your money. You understand me? Like when time you're going to a company and things like that and so forth, them ask you how much shirt you want and how much pants you want. Them just give a whole package and say it costs $45,000 to $50,000 and you have to take it because it come with a package. You understand me? That is how some of the company them operate.
How much is the hourly rate now?
Well, right now the hourly rate now, what I'm working right now is $311 per hour. And tell you the truth, that is so small, because by the end of the 2 week when I work, as them says, 5 days per week, I'm supposed to work. By the end of that 2 week, which is 10 days, it's just $27,000 after tax.
Right.
And NHT and them something drawn out tight.
Right.
You understand me? And it really not working out. Because
what are the what has been your experience over the last 4 years and 9 months What has really
All right.
been the experience for
All
you?
right. For the past 4 years and 9 months, I work with a particular company from 2014 to 2019, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that company, I eventually, at times when I was on training in June 26 until the 7th, May 26, 7th of June, when I finished training, right? They review us in the classroom. I cannot forget that time, right? They said to us that, first of all, the uniform will be paying rent for the uniform. We will be provided with 2 suits of uniform, caps and belt. And whenever time we want a next set within the next 3 months, we come and place our order and so forth. None of that never done. Because when me join the company and start and issue those uniform, it take me about 8 months before me can decide to say, I go get one shirt from them. I have to end up buying my one pants and make it. And I'm paying $1,500 per fortnight for uniforms. Next thing
1,500
again,
for uniforms.
yes, for uniform, $1,500 and no reimbursement. Next thing again, they don't issue pay slips. Them say whenever time we're going to need pay slips, we're going to have legitimate business in order to get pay slips. Them don't issue pay slips like that. So I have to end up use my brain in order to just get a few from them. That is what I have to use right now and having them before court right now for that purpose. Yes.
Okay. Well, all right. So let's bring in Mr. Patterson. Let's see. Mr. Patterson.
Yes, sir, Douglas. How you doing?
Change. All right.
Mr. Williams, how are you, sir? Good to see you, Mr. Williams.
Well, not too bad, just explaining my experience throughout the security company what I work with. In the past tense and the present.
Did I hear you correctly, Mr. Williams? Did I hear you correctly that the hourly rate is about $3.50 an hour?
Right.
So $3.50 an hour. So that means you're getting $2.25.
Repeat that.
That means $2.25 an hour US. So you're making US $2 an hour. If I understand correctly, minimum wage in the US offers somewhere around $15 an hour. So it means that you are very underpaid when compared to those in the US. But most of Jamaica's costs are in US dollars. Most of the costs that we bear here, are impacted by the US Jamaican exchange. So that's quite serious. But Mr. Harper, did you have a particular question for me?
If I have a party, repeat that.
Not particular.
I was asking
what part?
Well, I didn't know what you want me to do at this point. Like, if what you want me to comment on this particular point.
All right. What I'm saying at this particular point right now is that, listen me now, the rate of pay what we are getting as security right now at $311 per hour, it cannot work, because listen me now, for work $27,000 for a 2 week and working these long 12 hours, and some of the one time walk and punch every hour, mashing up your nerves, and when you check it out by the end of the day, you get only $27,000 for your pay after them draw them tax and deduction for NHT and NIS. Some of the time the NHT at some company don't even pay over. You understand me? And things like that, it's not to benefit for us. So right now, more I say, right now in the first place, I think security guards should get a rate at even $380 per hour. Yes. Oh, it's here right now. You understand me?
So
Because
you're,
for working for a fortnight and carrying home less than $45,000 for 2 weeks makes no sense. And I mean, we is part of,
especially in this day and age. So you're saying you prefer to get $380 an hour?
yeah, Jamaican dollars per hour. Right.
Okay, all right. And so in terms of, you know, what was your reaction to the court ruling, or did you hear about the court ruling with Marksman? What was your reaction to that?
Yes, well, I hear about it still, and it's a good thing. You understand? Towards
Yes.
the court ruling. Because, you know, so when the ruling of the court set out, it's by the government, according to them, right? Because it's what the government state, and they're ruling of what the government stated, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to my reaction, I think this, at one point it sounds good, but on another point, I think it's a way of governments find a way of gaining votes and something like that. That is what come into my attention, because sometimes you hear the government say some good things and things like that, and when you check it out by the end of the day, after them win and whosoever come in power and whosoever becomes opposition leader, you know hear nothing about it again. Everything just dead down and gone. You understand me? Yes. So me decide and say, listen, me now, we're gonna stand up for ourselves in this country here, and we just need someone to support us, because we can't take the promises from no form of opposition nor the present leader right now. You understand me? Yes, because them put things in place and at the same time just lay under the carpet and cover up. You understand me? And yes, you hear everybody put things in place and I said this is supposed to happen and this is breaches of contract and whatever it may be. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
The governments need to get more serious about certain things now.
All right, let me see if I can bring in Miss Taylor. She's been having some technical difficulties. Miss Taylor, can you hear us? No? Hello,
Yeah,
Miss
I'm
Taylor.
hearing now. Yeah, I was having some difficulties with my internet.
Yes, I realized. So tell us what is your view on the court case? How do you feel about it?
The government gave the security companies until the 23rd of September for the ruling to be.
Oh, seems like we've lost them. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a video, and we're going to go through this video. There's a video that actually is speaking to the matter. On this video, they have the past president of the Bar Association in Jamaica, and also someone from the diaspora that's going to speak on these issues. So I'm going to play this video in part, and we'll come back and and talk on the issues that are in this video. All right, so take a look.
Tonight we're looking at the implications of the ruling that security guards who are engaged by Marksman Limited are employees and not contract workers. And we're looking at what that means for the sector. That is our topic for discussion tonight, and we're joined in studio by Emile Lieber, President of the Jamaica Bar Association, and on Zoom, Hilton Dennis, who is diaspora consultant and former executive director of the Press Association of Jamaica. Did I pronounce your name right?
Emile Lieber, former president.
Former president. Thank you very much for that. So this court ruling that has caused a lot of concern is one that we want to talk about in terms of what are the implications now for employees such as security guards, and how their rights will now be interpreted
because of this ruling by employers who, like Marksman, believe that if we employ as a contract worker, there are some employee benefits that you do not have access to. Can you start off for me, Mr. Leiber, by explaining to us in your, how you see this impacting future engagement with employers and employees such as contract workers, such as the security guards?
Sure, thanks very much. The first thing I would say, to understand the ruling, it's important to understand the categories of employment that exist. So you have independent contractors, and an independent contractor, a classic example is like your plumber. So something goes wrong at your house, you call in the plumber does whatever magic he does with the pipes, you pay him a fee and he goes. So he's not your employee. He operates his own business and he's an independent contractor. And then you have persons who are employed on a fixed term contract for a specified period. And then you have those who are permanent employees for an indefinite period. Now both the fixed term and the permanent, they're employees, right? So one of the main questions in this case was, were these security guards independent contractors, meaning that were they operating on their own, doing their own business, like an IT consultant, I said, like the plumber, like an attorney who you hire for a specific task, they do it and you pay them. The question is, were these security guards, or have these security guards been operating as independent individuals? Now, what the court concluded is no. That when I look at this situation, no matter what the contract says, the guards have to go where they are told to go. The guards have to act in the manner in which they are told to act. And if it is that they don't act in a particular way, then they can be disciplined and removed and that type of thing. So, broadly speaking, what the court did is look at a set of facts in a particular situation. It's important to understand that court judgment doesn't make law. You know, the judge looks at the set of facts as presented before the court and then makes, in this instance, comes to a conclusion as to what those set of facts amounts to, legally speaking.
Right. But Mr. Hilton Dennis, in your estimation now, the attorney has explained to us, in terms of the applicability of this particular case or its suitability to other situations. What do you think, in your reading through of it, is likely to happen for employers like Marksman following this ruling?
Good host, good evening, Emil, good evening, Jamaica.
Just a minute to answer before we go to a break, and then we can pick up with you after.
Just a minute to answer. I would rather not have you something, but let me say something. This is bigger than Marksman. This is not confined to Marksman. This is something that should have been tested years ago, and quite the contrary of what he said. It is going to have some legal weight and standing. It's a precedent that is set because of the level of the court that has ruled. So, yeah. But this should have been tested long ago. Okay. Because it's not unique to Marksman.
All right. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, we continue the conversation.
Welcome back. We're still
all right. So before we get back to the break, there are some people in the chat that have been saying that they want to call in. So we're going to post those numbers a little later in the show. You'll be able to call in and speak to Mr. Patterson. There's one particular person, New Era Entertainment, that says he's a security guard. So we'd love to hear from him as well. Stay tuned. We will post the numbers, the number for you to call in. And so you'll be able to talk with Mr. Patterson and share your views. Omoragbe Cockburn, Mr. Cockburn, we'll share the number with you, so you'll be able to call in. But let's get back to the video. But we first heard that the court has ruled, and basically, clearly, based on what has been happening, it is clear that, you know, these workers that have been working for these security companies are not operating under or operating as contractors. You know, they're not self-employed people that you've contracted to come in and do a job. They are people who are working as employees for the security companies. They're being told where to go, when to go, you know, how long your shift is for, all these things. So the court ruled from those perspectives and others that, you know, these workers are employees. All right, so we're going to pick up from there, and we come back and talk some more.
You're looking at the implications of the ruling that security guards who are engaged by Marksman Limited are employees and not contract workers, and what this means for the sector. Still with us in studio, we have the former president of the Jamaica Bar Association, Emil Leiber, and on Zoom, Hilton Dennis, diaspora consultant. Mr. Dennis, let's begin this segment with you. You mentioned before the break that this matter should have been tested long ago. What are you hoping will come from the ruling, and how should things change in terms of how security guards are treated in terms of the employment arrangement?
It's very interesting how Emil distinguished an independent contractor versus, you know, these marksman guards and the category that they fell in as contract workers. You know, because a lot of the workers who fall in the category that the marksman guards fall in, right, have been deprived of benefits to which they should have been entitled, right, rightly so. And it has disrupted their lives because, you know, in Jamaica, you know, the employment is so marginal. And then you introduce this notion of contract worker doing the same things that a regular employed worker does, subject to the same rules, the same everything, and you know, not getting commensurate benefit. So this ruling is supposed to fix that. But I have a bigger concern, you know, my part division zeroing in on NHT, you know, as you get to that stage, that is really where my concern is, right? These statutory deductions, what the purpose of the deductions are, and getting them restored to the workers.
Mr. Leiber, so just clarify for us. So this case, as we understand it, it was a matter NHT would have brought the company to court. So it was between these two parties that an issue was being tried. Can other security companies take this as precedent? Because we get the feeling that that is what is happening. Was that in effect what the court did?
Yes, this was a case between the NHT and Marksman, and full disclosure, my firm was involved in that case, but I myself was not personally an attorney in that matter. But yes, what it is that another security company that operates in a similar structure to the Marksman structure could look at this case and say and consider themselves to be bound by it, because if your facts are very similar, if your scenario, if your setup is very similar to the facts of the NHT Marksman case, then it would in fact be something that you could consider yourself bound by. And what is important here in terms of independent contractor and employee is vacation leave, sick leave, employer's contributions from the tax perspective, because when you're an employee, an employer has an obligation to make contributions for you, as well as usual employee deductions. But I think for the security guards, probably one of the more significant things is going to be vacation leave, sick leave, and overtime, redundancy, and, well, if you're female, maternity leave benefits.
I heard Mr. Hilton, your own, Mr. Dennis, your interest in the NHT part of this conversation. And could you explain to me what exactly it is that you are focusing on as it relates to that particular focus of the case?
I understand how the judge in the case Justice Batts vacated the company Marksman over.
Mr. Dennis, we're not.
Have been before these.
Okay, I'm not sure. Mr. Dennis, could you say that again? The company Marksman.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you now, but we hadn't heard what you said prior to now, so we're asking you to repeat.
I couldn't understand how Justice Batts, who ruled in the matter, vacated Marksman of its liability to pay over to the National Housing Trust almost $1 billion that should have been paid for the workers, the security guards, to enjoy the housing benefit provided by the trust. And the basis of excusing the company from it was that the housing trust had failed to act in time for this payment to be made. You know, in other words, applying a statute of limitation to the compliance. I couldn't understand that. NHE is a trust, okay? And there's a lot that has been done over the years to trivialize what a trust means. And the government has imposed itself on the operations of the NHE and the laxity in enforcing the compliance. I would dare to say that if that ruling is to stand, the National Housing Trust is to be sued on behalf of these security guards and made to put that money, right, into a special fund for the security guards of Marksman Limited. And that will also be a precedent-setting action, right, so that it will understand it does not have the luxury to be so lax, right, that you can deprive these workers of such great a benefit. And the company, if it's not going to allow its conscience, right, to respond to situation and to at least say, okay, we did not deduct from the workers, so, you know, we will at least pay the employer's contribution without any penalty or something like that. Come to some amicable arrangement. Have a conscience, you know, because that is really the sort of relationship that we want to foster between employer and employee, right? We need to be more compassionate towards the security guard. Instead of threatening the country that security charges are going to go up and exposing the fact that government as possibly the biggest contractor of private security services is very delinquent in paying for these services, allowed to be delinquent in the same way that the NHP has been lax in enforcing the compliance, and therefore they're going to double the efforts to collect from the government. The rates are going up, and what you know is going to happen? They're going to cut the security guard force, and you're going to have security guards, as I heard on another program, doing double shifts and triple shifts, you know, which is just ridiculous, right?
All right, let's just pause it right there. I'm going to bring in Miss Taylor and ask her a couple questions. Miss Taylor.
Yeah, nice, I'm back.
Yes, good to have you. So tell us, in terms of, you know, what you're doing, what kind of benefits are you getting right now?
Right now, I'm not getting no benefits.
No benefits at all.
And I work a 10-hour shift on a daily basis, and there's times when the supervisor scheduled me to do double shift, which should be 20 hours. And I work like 20 hours per day.
Wow.
And yeah, 20 hours per day. And I would do double shift like 2 times per week, just to make up the little money that I'm getting.
So are you getting paid overtime pay?
No, I'm not getting no overtime paid.
And so you're working
Just
double
paid
shift?
by the hour.
Wow.
And there are places that I used to work where I used to work 16 hours at a supermarket where I used to work 16 hours to 17 hours. And I'm still not getting paid overtime. And at that specific location, we used to get half-hour lunch. During the entire shift, we get half-hour lunch.
Okay, so are you now receiving, or are you paying NHT contributed? Are you contributing to the NHT now?
It is said that NHT is drawn out of my pay, but I'm not quite sure if NHT really draws out of my pay because I didn't check.
Okay, okay. All right, let me bring in Mr. Pattison and get his views on what was just mentioned by Ms. Taylor and also in the video. Good evening, Mr. Pattison. So here we have Ms. Taylor saying that she's been working in some cases 20-hour days, no overtime, and not, well, she's not sure if her NHT contributions are being paid. Give us your take on all of this that we're hearing.
Well, the real issue here is what is the role of government and what have they been doing? The laws, the government is the one that set the laws, right? They decide how the employment landscape is going to be. They're the ones that regulate the industries. But it would appear as though there's no regulation in place. The security companies do as they please, and the employees are at the mercy of the security companies, and whatever laws they have in place are not being followed. I mean, it's very simple. The government defines who an employee is. They have decided to do things that way. They define who an employee is, and they have allowed the industry to operate for years without correcting the industry. I don't see why this even needed to go to court, because it simply means that the government has not provided strict clarity and have not been able to hold the industry accountable. Instead, they have left it up to, from what I understand, the NHT took the one employer to court, or one company to court, Marksman, I think it is? Marksman, right? So they took one company to court, and the court has ruled that based on the contract that they have with the persons, that these persons are designated employees. And so the question is, if the court has ruled that they're now employees, then what Guardsman has to do is to simply, on the effective date of September 23rd, to start treating these people as employees. But there's some conflict here because they have been working employees for 60 hours a week. And in the case of the young lady you just had on, she's saying she had been working 20 hours a day. So if she works 5 days a week, that's 100 hours a week. So these are just unimaginable, arrangements in the field. And who's in charge? Why do we have a government if companies can do whatever they please and there is no clear understanding, there's no clear set of laws and rules that people must follow and that would be enforced? So I'm at a loss as to why the government has allowed the industry to evolve this way. Could it be that too many politicians are running security companies? Could it be that there's a conflict of interest because the politicians are behind the scenes being owners or part owners, or some of their biggest donors are part owners or owners, and so we cannot have transparency and clarity in the field or in the industry because you'd be stepping on the toes of your friends and buddies if you were to do what is right. So right now we hear the industry saying that they're waiting on the government to change legislation in order for them to be able to do what the court has ruled. But why are they waiting on the government to change? The court has ruled, and the court says, just follow the rules right now for what applies to employees. So there should not be any major issues here. The company has to decide, do I stay in business or not? If I'm staying in business, then I have to change all of these security guards from independent contractors to employees based on the laws of the land as they stand today, and to therefore, start paying over their NHT, their NIS, their portion of the education tax, respect the rules in terms of a 40-hour work week, and you know, sick days and so on. Now, the problem with all of this is, I mean, what will happen with the industry? Does it fix the problem that we've heard from the two callers or the two persons we've had on tonight? I don't think so, because, you know, what's going to happen now is that they're going to be forced to work less hours, or the company is going to be forced to pay overtime. And from what I'm seeing here, the companies are trying to say they need to avoid paying overtime. They want an environment where they don't have to pay overtime because these people are independent contractors. We should ask ourselves the question, why do we have different classification of employees, or not even employees? Why do we have different classifications for people who engage in providing goods and services? Why do we need to classify some people as employee and some people as independent contractors? Why not respect the rights of everyone to engage in the free trade of goods and services? And therefore, those who are in a particular industry organize themselves to negotiate effectively. Right now, for example, from what I've seen, the security industry is very organized. They're lobbying the government. I think I lost my internet connection again. Tell me when I'm back.
No, you're still blurry. You're still blurry. All right. Well,
let me know if I'm back. I know that I seem to see a...
Yes, your signal looks like it's dropping.
Okay. How is it now? Am I back to normal?
Your audio is better, but the video is still blurry.
My audio is better, but my video is not so good. All right, no problem. So what I was going to get at a while ago is this. We should not have different classification of people. We're all people. All of us are people. Whether you are an independent contractor, as they have labeled some, or you are an employee, as they have labeled some, or whatever other descriptions they might come up with. These are people who need to earn a living in order to pay for the cost of their family: food, clothing, shelter, retirement planning, and so on. So why are we dividing and segregating our people into all these groups and then allowing different industry groups to manipulate different sets of people? Why is the government setting rules separately for security guards from others, and making it so that well-organized business people can then plot how they're going to manipulate and how they're going to underpay or undermine the lives of a set of people? Let's make the level, let's make the playing field level for everybody, a level playing field, a full and free open market, and allow the workers now to, I hate to say the word workers, I don't want to call anybody, I don't talk about workers or employees, allow people to come together and associate and represent their interests. So for example, right now the security industry has some big heavyweights that can hire big lawyers and get their position represented and can seek legislative changes and all that kind of stuff, okay? The poor security guards are just left out there. Where are the unions? Why aren't they in a position to organize themselves and demand what they think is fair to them? And then force the, forgive me, the employer and the employees, force the two parties, and I hate to use employer, the two parties, those that want to buy your services and those who are selling the service, those who want to buy the goods and those who are selling the goods. Let them come together, sit at the table and negotiate what they're willing to work for, under what conditions they're willing to work, and what price they're willing to accept for that. And the other side makes their offer and then they come to an agreement. Instead, what we have is a situation where the government has created an environment where people are left to believe that the government is working on their behalf, when behind the scene, the government may not be working on their behalf. For example, the government is one of the major employer of security guards via these security companies. So they have been taking advantage of whatever the security companies have been doing. So if the security companies have chosen to use a particular model of funding, pricing security services and getting the government to pay that to them, and the government knowing that they're not treating security guards the way they have structured it by law, then why has the government been buying that service? Why have they been allowing the security companies to, operate outside of the rules, the law, and then they now take taxpayers' money and fund the continuation of that abuse of the law or abuse of citizens? So the government seems to be in a very compromised position. We can't seem to trust and depend on them to operate in an objective and transparent manner. The UIC's approach is to make sure that government is no longer in these compromising positions, that it's very clear what the role of government is, and we separate ourselves from trying to dictate or manipulate contractual relationships between citizens. Because those who run businesses and those who seek jobs from businesses are people, and they must be allowed to negotiate effectively their rates and their conditions. So what we've had so far, the government has set rates for the industry. They have said, they're going, here is the minimum level. Why are they setting a level? When a government sets an artificial price, it allows the company to use that artificial price to price down everybody. Yeah? So they get this artificial level, and then they stick to this artificial level because the government has said, here's a minimum. The minimum then becomes, for the most part, a bit of a maximum, if you know what I mean. So it becomes a barrier. Now, the UIC's approach is to open up the system and allow for wages to rise to match the competences and contributions and productivity of those who are providing the service or the goods. So let us stop having this system where the government gets to manipulate us by having backdoor deals with these companies that we don't see. For example, if the court says this thing should come into effect on the 23rd of September, we're now the 26th of October. That's one month ago. Why are we having a discussion about it? It should just be the court has ruled that we own the law, so now we're going to follow the law. Yeah? What am I missing here? What am I missing in this, Mr. Harper? What is the missing piece here?
Sorry, sir. So I'm asking the same question. I don't understand why this has become an issue. Because as you said, if it is that you have, clearly you've not been paying, your workers what they should be paid. And you're being told, okay, from now on, pay that.
Yeah.
I don't see what the big issue is. Pay what the court says you should pay. Yeah. I don't see why you're now, making a, public statement.
Yeah, well, a public spectacle. Why are you asking the government to change legislation in order for you to? So here's what they want to do. They want to change the legislation to move the maximum hours of work from 40 to 60. So they want politicians, they want government to give them the power to not pay overtime to their employees. They want government to know. They know they can get it because and why the government, notice the government is very quiet. Notice this one, we don't have a prime minister getting all excited and going out there and saying, This needs to be stopped. We need to bulldoze these security companies who are mistreating employees. We need to go in and stamp them out and stop them, whatever. Why we don't hear the Prime Minister? Because this is about protecting big business now, you see. When it comes on to protecting big business, there's no bulldozers coming out. There's no attempt to go and ram down. So when it's the small man, there's no government. When it's to help the small man, there's Andrew. When it's to bulldoze people and clear the weekend or give it to his friends at big banks and those guys from foreign elsewhere who want to come and suck up our lands, he's ready to do that. So, let's be very, very honest and clear about this. The government is allowing big business to manipulate and undermine the workers in this country because the laws are skewed in favor of big business. And so when finally there's a ruling by the court, on this particular matter for security guards, instead of the government coming out powerfully and forcefully, they pay up the people NHT money that you have withheld, pay up people their overtime, and the truth is, if you're going to talk about, let's say we try to differentiate between employees and subcontractors. In the video showed earlier on, the gentleman tried to explain. I don't agree with his explanation. Let's follow it for a moment. His explanation is that a subcontractor is somebody who is running a business, like a plumber. So you call the plumber, and the plumber comes to your house, and he fixes the plumbing problem, and you pay him, and he leaves. So that's a subcontractor. That's his definition, which he says the court and the government uses as well. The employee now is a different person. The employee is somebody that is he didn't use these words, but he says, they're there with you for a fixed period, a fixed term period. I think that's one of the things he said, a fixed term period, or permanently with you. 1 second. Hello, hold on a second, please, just a minute. So a fixed term period, or a what do you call it now? A contract where you are permanent, they call it. Now, in both of these instances, the two persons are providing services. One on a fixed term, whether the term is 1 week or 1 year, and one which they call permanent, which is ridiculous because nobody's permanent, but permanent, there's no term, you're working indefinitely until they fire you or you leave. So to look at security guards, they are more in line with those who would have been working continuously, right? You're putting them on a rotation, a schedule every single day. They're being scheduled. They have no flexibility in their time when hours come. You have them for 10 hours, 20 hours, you work them 60 hours. Clear. If that's the rule, that's the basis of definition. So why has the government allowed this to go on for so long and cause it to have to go to court to be determined? Why didn't they step in? Or is it that they only step in for poor people who don't want to demolish off the land? Welcome, good evening. Who am I speaking with?
Good evening. You're speaking to
Mr. Brown.
Yes, I'm an employee at Marksman Limited.
Okay, good to hear from you, Mr. Brown. So tell us, why are you calling tonight?
Just the burning concern of security officers, not only for guardsmen or marksmen. It really hurts to see, even myself, how hard I have to work and be away from my family for so much hours just in order to take in that money to support my family. I sometimes have to work like 4 shifts back to back. I mean, day, night, day, night, day, night.
Wow.
And if it is that a day comes and I feel like, hey, this is it, I want to go home, and if they can't find nobody to replace me, I have to stay there. That's the level of control these companies have on us. And if we try to rebel against it, it's no work for us.
Wow. So basically, you feel like a thief. Sorry, you're not a thief. You feel like a slave.
Of course I am.
Yeah.
Not proud to say it, but it is what it is.
So what would you like? How would you see us fixing this? Do you want an environment where the government sets the price for you, or do you want to have effective representation through an association or group like a union, where together you can collectively bargain for appropriate rates and appropriate working conditions?
I would put a union. Why? I'm a born Jamaican, and I am growing and I have sense. I have watched both governments, both the BNP, both the JLP. The JLP is in power now, and as he previously stated and touched on some of the points, from court ruling and everything, the government has been silent. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing at all. Guardsmen sent out a memo to their security officers saying that their overtime money will be retroactive. They're in negotiations with the government. No, we're not hearing anything about this. It has passed over a month now. No one is saying anything to us.
So they're hiding behind the government. They're hiding. So what they do, now that the court has ruled and they can't hide no more, everything is out in the open. They have decided that they're going to hide behind saying they're waiting on what am I waiting for the government for? Why is the government creating an environment that allows Andrew should come out and say, no, wait, just pay the people them the money. No, wait, just pay the people. Yeah, go ahead.
If Andrew Holness is so much for the poor, right, and he wants to make such a change, the ruling is handed down. Why is he not saying anything? Or take the Prime Minister out of it. Carl Samuda is the minister with portfolio right now. He has been completely silent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's completely silent because you're stepping on his toes. Maybe he's a shareholder. Maybe him have whole heap of money in it. Maybe him get money from campaign. As a matter of fact, I am sure that I am very sure that both parties get some good hefty millions that was supposed to be in your pocket. Monies that should have been paid to you. These companies have paid this money to these two parties to keep you in the condition that you're in. That is why they can $330 million at election time, for example, to give them, because they get to shortchange the employee, stock up this money, and then use it to buy protection. So the government is like a gang, you see. The government is like a gang, and these two parties pay them protection money to protect them from the people. So that every time there's a problem, they can say, oh, the government. Then the government can say, oh, take them to court. And then we, the people, have to find time and energy and money. Many of us can't go to court. You know who took these people to court? It's not you, It's not the employees who took guardsmen to court. It's the NHT that took guardsmen to court to ask for the money that they want to prop up the NHT fund, which, by the way, when them get it, them still a thief it from you, because it's unlikely that you are going to qualify to get an NHT loan. So them only want it. So what we have now, is the left hand of government fighting against the right hand of government and messing up the little deal that them have behind the scene with the powers that be that run the private sector organization of Jamaica. So we get into, so what we have is a little mix up between the PSOJ oligarchy, the NHT, and the rest of government. Maybe they never knew that the court would have ruled the way they did. Maybe, for example, money never pay off enough for the court to bring a ruling to further complicate matters. Maybe the judges should have said, we ruled that the security guards are indeed subcontractors. But maybe somehow, I'm just guessing now and I don't know, maybe somehow enough money never change hands behind the scenes and somebody say, I go and deal with the business. You know, I say you must give me $20 million, give me $5 million, make a ruling. So I'm just guessing now and I don't know. But based on the corrupt society we have, I would not be surprised if somehow a part of the behind scenes deal, the backdoor deal, never go well. And so we ended up with the court ruling contrary to what the establishment wanted them to rule. So now that the establishment has ruled, let's pass the buck a little further. So what they do is say, okay, so the court ruled, but we in the security industry are going to quickly come together because we have big lawyers and we have big money, and we're going to pressure the government to not cause us to have to pay this money, but change the rules from 40 hours a week to 60 hours a week, so we don't have to pay overtime at least. And then now make other legislative changes. Let us have a tribunal. Let us have some kind of meeting where we work out new deal and new arrangement. So at the end of the day, the people still get shafted. What do you say to that?
That is exactly what is going on, and you know, as I said before, it hurts my heart. Why? Security officers have been doing this for about 5 years now, and security officers are some of the most disciplined persons, and they don't care. I mean, I can tell you, in the company that I am in, Guardsman, if you try to call payroll to clarify discrepancy on your pay, it is disrespect. It seems as if you must not ask about your pay. I remember at one point in this company, my pay was critically short. Say, for example, I should have gotten 30,000, I only got 10. And when I went to clarify it, no one wanted to speak to me. No one can give me a date to say, hey, you're going to get the money by this time, or let me write you a check because they got bills to pay and they got your family to feed. It's disrespect everywhere, from clients to your own company.
So hold on. So why do we have a government? You know, I was under the mistaken understanding that the role of government is to protect the rights and freedom and, you know, of our people. So if you what must call, you know, the service provider, so you're providing a service and there are laws concerning how we're supposed to operate, and they're not providing that way, they're not operating that way, you should be able to call the Ministry of Labor and simply report the matter, and one phone call they fix the problem. Like, listen, this is not how you treat your staff. What do you want to call the staff? Subcontractor or employee. This is not how you treat your staff, right? Yeah.
I wish it was like that.
Yeah.
I so wish if it was like that. But I can tell you, if I should try tomorrow to take up my phone or even visit the Ministry of Labor, I can guarantee you by day end, I will be getting a call from a manager at Marksman Limited, or by the other day, I'm out of work.
Exactly. So basically, you are indeed a slave. We call them a wage slave. You're a wage slave. You don't have no say. You're at the mercy of two ends of the stick. The government, which is supposed to work for you, is working for your employer, and the employer, which is supposed to follow laws, can disregard those laws and do whatever they want. That's a travesty. Well, let me thank you very much for sharing with us tonight. You have opened our eyes some more to what is going on in the country. I hope that all persons who are involved in the security industry can come together and stand against this treachery. I'm willing to offer my help. I'm willing to help negotiate better wages, better working conditions, fair treatment for all persons in the security industry. So tell your people to come together all 400, 500, 1,000, whatever of you, let us get together and let's work against those who are working against us. All right? Thank you. Take care. You're welcome. Good night. All right. So, Mr. Harper, we have to... The UIC stands ready to help our security guards if they want our help. So I saw earlier that they're organizing themselves. I know that they plan to have some kind of a work action on November 7th, it is?
Right.
So we are ready to stand with the security guards for fairness, for justice. Yeah. And we are not against employers. We're against employers who wish to treat their employees unfairly. Yeah. So the UIC is ready.
Let's see if we can bring in Miss Taylor. She was saying earlier that they were working on bringing together a union. Miss Taylor, are you there? It seems like her signal is low. All right. All right, Mr. Patterson. So, as we're saying, the UIC is ready to stand with the people of Jamaica, and especially those who are in the security industry, who have been treated unfairly and are still being treated unfairly. And so we are willing to stand with them. And
yes. I mean, Mr. Harper, just to cut in here, the entire country right now is in a bad shape. The entire country. Yes. We have people. I like to say people. I don't want to differentiate so much against workers versus employers. They're people, because there are many persons who are employers, who are small employers. They have 1 person, 2 person, 3 persons, 5 persons. What we all need is a fair and balanced society. What we all need is for the system to be transparent and to allow every person to achieve their maximum potential without being disadvantaged by the system. The way the system is currently designed, it gives those who fund the government, those who fund the 2 colonial parties an advantage over everybody else. And that is the problem. So what you have is the PSOJ oligarchy that funds the 2 major parties, then have those parties get elected and make laws and rules to favor them while disadvantaging the people of Jamaica, the majority of Jamaicans. So what we don't have is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We have a government that is elected by the funding of the PSOJ oligarchy to work for the PSOJ oligarchy while pretending, when it suits them, to be working for the people of Jamaica. That is why recently the Prime Minister's wife, who is also a member of Parliament, found it easy to invoke the usual tribal politics, where she is able to say, and she said it on purpose, this is purposeful. This is how they divide and distract the nation. So when the Prime Minister's wife, who is also a member of Parliament, found it easy to go on public television to support the point she made in one of her constituency meetings, that where some people live that are of lower quality and lower standards, that are dirty, that are in dangerous zones, that are in unplanned and improperly developed communities, that's where you find one particular party. When she said that, she knows that she is going to excite and incite the tribal warfare among us. She knew that.
Yes.
But she still did it anyway. 1 second. Good evening. Welcome to the UIC Liberty TV. This is Joseph Patterson. Who am I speaking with? Sorry, say that again. Who am I speaking with?
is Winston.
Hey, Mr. Wright, how are you doing, sir?
I'm here on the road, as usual, driving home and I'm listening.
Yes.
And I wanted to call and share because I'm moved by what I'm hearing. That's all the stories that we bring out because we highlight the human element in the suffering of our people. But just to point out that firstly, I supervised security officers in my earlier years. My eldest sister, well, she's my only sister, so my eldest sibling has been a security guard for years. My youngest was a security guard, and because of the inhumane condition and the fact that he had more opportunities, he was able to extricate himself from that horrible situation. So I'm uniquely qualified to talk on this topic, especially because of my industrial history background. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, man. Go right ahead. Please go ahead.
No, you just said something to the officers that is very important.
All right. We've lost.
They can independently, because the law allows them, when I say the law, I mean the law of tort, law of contract, allow them to individually appoint their advisor to advise them in this matter. You can all take a form letter and fill that up and express that the UIC now represent them in this matter. And that will circumvent what happens in industrial relations where you're required to have a representational right pool, where if 50% plus one of the employee counts in a company or an industry, so then that agency that got that percentage becomes the representative and gain what is called bargaining rights, as in the right to speak to the company on behalf of those workers. But that is not absolute, as I said. So they can refer to you. So I hope they take your advice, reach out to the UIC and get help in this matter, because I can understand how the security companies are negotiating with the government about a matter that the court has ruled out. The highest judicial body in the land has said that you have grossly mistreated the worker, which is illegal, as you have pointed out. And they are now in turn going to the government to say, hey, let's negotiate. There's no negotiation here. It was wrong. And the law has laid out the redress. Meet your obligations under the law and then go from there. Now I'll tell you this. There are going to be people listening that are saying, boy, but the overhead of the company is going to go up. The company will go insolvent. In my current capacity and previous capacities, I've negotiated with these companies. And I know that the rates that they charge their companies that they're providing service to, and they pay their officers, there is a massive disparity that administrative costs won't swallow. So they can afford it. Okay? And I'm not saying this lightly. Now, let's look at what needs to happen here. Firstly, as a matter of fact, let's start history. The NHC brought them to court because the NHC is in need of money. Yeah, because the NHC wants big cash cow. And this was totally coincidental because when this case went to court, these companies seek to have the case quashed and also sought through government intervention to have the case removed from the court. And it was when there was an uproar. And thankfully there's a bit of a acrimony between the judiciary and the government as it stands. And I'm guessing, and let me not be libelous, I'm guessing that this prompted the judiciary to look hard and say, no, you all can come and railroad these people. But anyway, there is that the NHC has one of these companies providing contract security service to them, and there's an officer there. And I will refer to him so people know who he is. I always speak to him on record. I'm speaking to him about UIC for probably 2 years now. And speaking to him about this matter for the security guard. And I advise him that the security guard will win the case. He worried that the security guard will win the case. I advise him that they'll win the case. But their problem will be having the award implemented. So said, so done. And when he's there, I'll remind him of that. And remind him what his colleagues need to do to have their chief totally satisfied. But for now, we can represent these officers as they are pointed out if they want better. But all they have to do is come together and advise their employer that they have an agent who will represent them. And then each individual advise their companies. And the UIC can step in on their behalf. Of course, they'll fight it. But they won't be able to do it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Winston. We have another caller coming in, so I will respond to your comments right after. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yes. Okay. I think I lost the other caller. Now, everything that the chairman of the UIC just said is 150% correct. The question is whether or not we will now organize. One of the problems we have as a people is organizing. Those who organize have the advantage. And so the PSOJ is very organized. The security industry is very organized. And they're organized to ensure that they can keep the Jamaican people as wage slaves for as long as is possible. So I'm going to encourage all of you in the security industry, all of you security guards across the country, I want you to join us by contacting us at 2930812. That's 876-2930812. WhatsApp us and let us know that you're willing to be represented by the UIC to ensure that you get all of your rights. Every single dollar, every single to which you are entitled under current laws that you're given them, and that your employers do not use this as an opportunity to find new ways to disadvantage you. I can tell you what's going to happen. They're already saying that if this law goes into effect, which it has and which it must, it's going to cost them 50% more to operate their businesses. They're going to use this as a way of cutting your hours, a way of reducing the number of security guards that they use. And they're also going to seek to bump up the price that they charge the government. For the most part, they're going to get their money one way or another. What you need is to make sure that you have full representation so you can effectively bargain. The chairman just pointed out that you don't even need to be a union. You can simply ask the UIC to be your representative, and we enter into contract to represent you, and then we can bargain on your behalf, not as a union, but as your representative. And we're prepared to do that because we're not going to sit by and allow them to do this to you or any other worker in this country. As a matter of fact, the time is coming and is now when we're probably going to have a all-island strike for all employees across the country who is fed up and tired of bad governance, who want an environment that is free, respectful, responsible, and which allows all of us to live, earn, and retire with dignity in our own country. And so write into the number, WhatsApp us, and let us know that you want to be added to the list of security guards that we represent. So again, 876-293-081, and we will put together a full and complete profile, and we'll let your employer know that the UIC will now be speaking on your behalf. Joseph Patterson, for sure, will be there to fully represent you. Not one of you will be allowed to be left out in the cold if you want to be represented. Okay? So let's go back to the big issue here I was talking about a while ago. The Prime Minister's wife, and don't let this slip you, what she's doing right now is sowing the same seeds of division that they used 78 years ago, 68 years ago, 58 years ago, 48 years ago, 38 years ago, 28 years ago. They're using the same divide and rule tactic. If they can get the two sides to clash and to aggressively fight each other, then that will deflect from the real issues and cause us to be fighting each other so that they can come up through the middle and win again. Remember, it doesn't matter to the PSOJ oligarchy which of the two wins. It doesn't matter to them how many of us kill each other. It doesn't matter to them how much of us hate each other. All that matters to them is that when the dust settles, nothing has changed. They are still fully in charge, running and controlling everything behind the scenes. Now, the UIC is a unique opportunity for all Jamaicans to step up and take control of our country. It's a unique opportunity because the UIC is not owned and controlled or funded by the PSOJ oligarchy. We're funded entirely by you, the Jamaican people. And I want you to make yourself a deal. I want you to say to yourself, what would I do if I was going to court for a case, for a charge that I did not commit, for a crime I did not commit? I've been charged, I'm going to court for a crime I did not commit. What would I do? Do I want to go to court without a lawyer, or do I want to go to court with a lawyer? Do I feel as if on my own, standing by myself, I can effectively represent myself in court, in a court that is stacked against me, with a justice system that is stacked against me, with my opponent having a lawyer which is stacked against me, but I'm going to go into court alone? Or will I get myself a good lawyer so that I have a chance of coming out of that in one piece? The UIC is your lawyer. The UIC is your lawyer in the biggest court of the Parliament of Jamaica. That is where the laws are made, and that is why you're suffering. So if you do not hire us to be your lawyer, then it's very difficult for us to really represent you. So for example, if the security guards don't get themselves together and get good representation to fight on their behalf, if they exist in their silos, each security guard sit in their own little space and try by themselves to go up against the big, massive security industry, you're hopeless. There's no hope, because the security industry will control the politicians and change the rules to work against you. So each individual security guard is no match for the massive industry that has the full support and backing of the politicians that they have helped to fund to be there. So what are you going to do? We have to now come together. All security guards have to come together. In fact, all Jamaicans have to come together who decides that they want a different Jamaica. That's what I am offering you. That's what the UIC is offering you. Now, for us to work for you, just like your lawyer, you need to pay the legal fees. It's very simple. And that is why we ask UIC members to contribute a minimum of $250 a week. Just imagine if every single security guard contributed 250 Jamaican dollars a week, and therefore ensure that they have solid representation through the UIC. Now we're going to represent. If you are willing to come forward and ask us to represent you, we're going to do it on a dime, on next to nothing for a budget. But just imagine if all security guards, if all workers in Jamaica, if all Jamaicans who are tired of bad governance, who are tired of the way this country has been going, say, we want to own our own political party. We want to own a political movement that we're going to get elected. And when we elect that movement, we know, say, it's not controlled by the PSOJ oligarchy. We know, say, it's not controlled by the colonial masters. We know what policies they plan to put in place already. We know what they stand for, and we want that new Jamaica. And so together, we come together now as one. And by just contributing $200 a week, a box lunch money, a small box lunch, by the way. I'm not even sure if you can get a box lunch for $250 anymore. The last time I checked, it was $650 or $700 for a box lunch. So half of a box lunch, one little drink. If all of us contributed $250 a week, just imagine how much we will have to overcome the powers that be. 1 second. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program, UIC Liberty TV. This is Joseph Patterson speaking. Who am I speaking with? Sorry, say that again, please. Toot. Go ahead, Toot. What do you have to tell us tonight?
Well, the ideas they're putting forward are wonderful.
Oh, look like we lost him. Please call us back if you have a chance. Yes, Mr. Douglas, what do you think the proposal for Jamaicans to contribute just $250 a week so we can get this job done?
Absolutely. I think it's well needed. As you said, you have to pay for your representative, and for a long time, we haven't been paying for a representative. Someone else has been paying for a representative.
We've never paid.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we were tricked. They tricked us.
So it's time we now come together, we the people come together and decide that we want to fund our own representatives. People that are going to take our interest at heart, and are not going to, have big business as their benefactor. So I think it's very important that we get together, and $250 a week is really, I mean, as you said, it's half of a box lunch,
Yeah.
We can do this, we really can mobilize the UIC and get the UIC on the road and in the crevices and the corners that we all want to see the UIC in, and we want to see not just the UIC, but representatives. So that will help to bring out, your councillor candidates and your MPs and showcase all of that for you guys.
1 second.
Yes.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to UIC Liberty TV. This is Joseph Patterson. What's your name, sir?
Hello, you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Oh, I'm calling from. Sure.
Yeah, go ahead. We're not hearing you, but go ahead. Hello, can you hear me? Oh, my connection really bad tonight, I tell you. All right, so that call dropped as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you were saying, Mr. Harper.
Yes, so we're really encouraging our fellow Jamaicans to donate to the UIC.
All right, listen, I want to make this really clear, guys. I don't even, it's not even like we're asking you for a donation, We're asking you to decide whether you want a better Jamaica or not. There's no way that you can go to court without a lawyer that is paid to represent you. If you get a free lawyer, you might get what a free service looks like. Yeah? If you get a state-appointed lawyer, you might not get the representation you need. So what you want when you're in a trying situation, you want to make sure you have a lawyer who is vested, who is committed to representing you. Now, we have looked at it long and hard, and it works out to about $1.61 US a week, $1.61 US a week, roughly, at $250 per week. And why am I harping on this? Some people I've heard in the past, some people say, well, Mr. Patterson loves to talk about money and whatever. But guys, how many of you can live without money?
Exactly.
The reason, listen, right now, as a security guard, you are struggling because of the rate of pay that you're earning. You want more money. You want a wage level that allows you to have a decent standard of living. Now, if you want to be represented now, if you want to have somebody go in and defend you, work for you, then you want to make sure that you're contributing to that process. I have had the privilege of going to represent others to their employers personally. And I can tell you, in every case that I've had to represent, it comes out good. The reason is you want a representative who is not there to be unfair and unreasonable. You want a representative who creates win-win solutions. In the past, unions have been very foolish. They have not worked towards finding a good balance between the so-called employer and the employee. They tend to be very unreasonable, very unrealistic, and not paying attention to the numbers and understanding. As an accountant, when I'm going to negotiate for pay, for example, you don't just go in and pick an arbitrary number. You want to go and make sure you understand the company's financials. You analyze financials carefully, understand what are the cost drivers, and use those information not to gouge the company, but to negotiate something that is effective for both sides. It doesn't kill the company, and it ensures that the employee is treated fairly. Let's hear this one. Hello, good evening. Welcome to UIC Liberty TV. Who is calling? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I was. It's gone. I don't know what's going on. They call and it just locks off right away. Yeah. So Mr. Harper, what I do is I make sure that I understand. By the way, this is free. I'm giving some free information now of these negotiators. You want to make sure that you fully understand the financial position of or fully understand the financial position of the organization. Unfortunately, many of these union persons cannot read financial statements, so they're at a disadvantage, right? So they only go in from an emotional side, from a side where they just say, oh, I'm here to defend the worker. No, you have to defend justice. Yeah, you're not here to defend the worker. You're here to ensure justice. You're here to ensure fair play. You're here to ensure that the company survives and the employees are protected and both parties comes out a winner. So if you negotiate from a win-win position, you end up with a better situation for all concerned. If you negotiate foolishly, you might win the battle and lose the war. So the battle might be won and you get your people to get, let's say they get a big percentage, great. And then tomorrow half of them are fired. Yeah. Or the company moves to a different country. No, if that happens. You want to negotiate, understands how to negotiate or I think you want to come in this
Ms. Taylor? Hello, Ms. Taylor? Hello?
Hold on.
Hello, Ms. Taylor?
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Yes, sir. Who am I speaking with? Forgive me, I didn't hear that. Can you repeat yourself?
Yes, so you're going to lead Association for Private Security.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm Kenny Lee Gray, by the way.
Wonderful, Mr. Gray. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, sure. All right, so regards to the security industry, obviously the court ruled on September 23rd that we are basically our supposed to act the benefit. I'm more secure to talk to my including myself. I'm going to get those benefits. that there's overtime on it, etc., etc. So we're seeing some talks from Mr. Overton and some others who basically represent the companies when they're heard anything that is across the holder and the other stakeholders, holders about what's the way. So therefore, a lot of security looking either not turning up work or not other actions.
All right. So I didn't hear you fully, but did you say that you're planning a strike action? Gone again. All right. I'm not sure if you heard that, Mr. Harper. Did you hear? I think you said they're planning a strike action or some sort.
Yeah, I wasn't able to hear.
Okay. All right. Well, no problem. So let's see if I know Miss Taylor is having a hard time connecting here. Let's try again. Miss Taylor, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
Okay.
Wonderful. Go ahead and speak quickly before we lose you again. Share your thoughts.
I want justice for these security officers because we've been going through this for far too long and the government has been putting a blind eye on all of this for years now. And the strike will be beneficial to all of us.
When is the strike? When is the strike?
We are putting on a strike the 7th of November.
All right, hold your thoughts a second. The 7th of November, 1 second. Good evening, welcome to the UIC Liberty TV. Who is speaking?
What do you like?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, man, yeah. About the November.
Right, so we're going to have a strike on November. When in November? November 7th? You're breaking up. When are we going to have the strike? When? Yes, I am. Is it November 7th?
Yes, on November the 7th, I need that strike.
How?
On November the 1st, on November the 1st, this organization are planning to go to Gardenhouse. November the 1st, that's Tuesday.
What's the name of the organization again?
CHAPS, Jamaica Association of Private Security. They're advocates.
Hold on. Yeah, man. Hold on. I want to get the name straight. Jamaica, say it again for me.
Jamaica Association for Private Security, JAPS.
Jamaica Association for Private Security. How many members? Yes, JAPS, JAPS. How many members do you have?
As I say, it's just advocacy group. We started on Facebook. We have we decided maybe we're going to turn it into a union. So people have to sign up to make it formal.
All right.
It's not formal. It's just a lobby group.
All right. So here's what I want you to do. JAPS. I have the number here. I have your number. I want you to send a WhatsApp messaging tonight to this number with the information for your group and what your plans are so that the UIC can join you in this job action. Okay? And most importantly, we want to help you to ensure proper representation. We don't want a fenke thing, and we don't want them to trick you. We don't want them to trick you with all the rules about forming a union. What you want right now is representation and effective representation. So we're going to provide that for you right now. So I want you to gather all your members and let them know that we're going to have a meeting with them prior to Tuesday so that we can organize and make sure that we carry out an effective action. Not just, it's a march into Garden House is one thing. The police going to stop you, they're going to try to arrest you like they did with me the last time. What we want is a strike action that works. But if we can avoid a strike and instead move straight to negotiation and get the issues resolved, that's most important. And I am willing to ensure we do that right now. We move straight to negotiation if the other side wants to negotiate, and we stop the strike and make sure you get what is yours, and we have a good outcome for all parties. How about that?
That's good, because actually right now we have a lot of security because some people it's going to impact Jamaica very. So therefore, if we can avoid a strike, that will be great.
Excellent.
But right now, it seems like the government and the opposition and even the stakeholders is like they're avoiding us. It's like, well, like they don't take us serious or something like that. So
No.
hopefully they are listening to the program or watching social media and they take us very serious.
Yeah, man, they don't take you serious enough because they know that they have been able to, for example, there are going to be people in your group who are with you. Some of them are going to be PNP, some GLT, for example, and they're going to allow the partisan politics to divide them and undermine what you're trying to do. So we have to overcome that. You understand? Yeah.
Like a lot of people fear to lose their job. That's the number one issue, right?
Yes.
For a lot of people. But I think everybody should take a stand. Even if yes, we lose. Some of us will lose our job, but we have to take a stand.
Yeah. Here's my approach, my friend. What's your name again? Sorry, remind me of the name. Teddy Lee Gray. Oh, Teddy Lee. Okay, now me know who may I talk to. I've never. No, that's good. I'm glad to finally be talking to you. But here's the deal. I don't want nobody to lose them job, and I don't want no company to crash. What I want is for a fair deal and settlement. So what I'm offering you, I'm also offering the security companies. Let us find a middle ground that ensures that the employees are treated fairly and the companies are protected from going into bankruptcy or feeling like they need to leave the space altogether. So we're going to find a win-win solution. So I want to hear from the industry before Tuesday so that I can bring them to the table. And I'm also going to talk to you guys before Tuesday so we can hammer out the key points that we want to be addressed, which is, of course, wages and benefits and working conditions, right? And then we're going to try to find a solution. Now, if they decide not to negotiate, then of course, we'll be left with no alternatives but to fight for our rights. Absolutely. Yes. 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 No, hear what happened. We don't want a meeting with the Minister of Labour. We don't want a minister. Listen me carefully. This is not the government. They have already set their laws. The court has ruled, right? The court ruled. No, so. Now, if the court has ruled, then the only outcome is for those who are employers to obey the law. Now, if they're going to obey the law, then we're okay with that. And now what we're saying is we know that there might be implications, whatever those are. Let us come to the table as employer and employee and make sure that we reach a settlement agreement that works for us. We don't want the government in this because of them create the problem in the first place. But no, but the thing is, no, the government only makes laws. If the government has to intervene, and tell the companies to honor the law, what does that tell you? If the government has to tell the company, you know what the government is supposed to send the police to lock them up because they're breaking the law. Yeah. Yes, I know, but they don't. Yeah, but they don't make. But I understand. But remember, we're not. All that has happened is that the court has ruled that the security marksman, guardsman, has simply treated its human resource as contractors instead of employees. And they said effective September 23, they're to start treating them as employees. Right?
Yeah, but the same firms now are trying to go around that ruling by asking the government to legislate.
Right.
Because they can't physically overturn the Supreme Court is to legislate, but they will be breaking iron or international law that said 40 hour work, not 60 hours.
I know, so that's why I'm saying what you say. You're about to fight the wrong battle. Your battle. You're not asking the government for anything. The government already has the laws. So all we're saying is there's two options here. Either the companies obey the law that exists, or we take strike action.
Talk to them and at least avoid strike action.
Yeah.
Plan B is the strike action.
Yeah. So we just say yes. So let's have a chat. Let's have a chat tomorrow. I have some early morning meetings. I should be free around 1 o'clock tomorrow. So let's have a chat tomorrow, and we'll put a good plan in place. And we're going to make sure. We're just going to make sure that both sides understand that this can be a win-win, or we can all lose. Yeah, because when you strike, you know, yeah.
The private security industry cannot crush. So I'm hearing that scaremongering tactics.
No.
First and foremost, crime rate in Jamaica is very high. Security guards are very crucial.
Absolutely.
This industry is $1 billion industry, so I don't kind of buy that scaremongering tactics.
Well said, Teddy. This is very important. All Jamaicans should know that the private security industry cannot crash. A company can crash. So if guardsman is gone, but if guardsman, for example, decide that they want to threaten their employees, all right, I won't tell you this piece because it's a part of the negotiation. So I'm going to leave this and say this. We have to go now because it's almost 2 hours. I'm going to make this very clear, very simple. The UIC is calling on the private security industry to come to the table with the UIC as the representative for all private security industry workers. We are prepared to settle via a win-win negotiation that ensures justice for the employees and longevity for the companies. If the companies refuse to take up this offer, then we will side with the employees and ensure that any company that has failed to carry out the laws of the land insofar as they existed on September 23rd will be made to pay the price by way of worker action, beginning sometime after or on the 2nd of November. So we are prepared to work with you. We're not here to destroy your company. We're not here to treat you unfairly. We're not here to see to it that your company is unable to operate effectively within Jamaica. But we're here to defend and protect the rights of all Jamaicans, and that include those who are classified as private security guards. Let us together as one Jamaica, recognizing that we need industry and we need those who will work within those industries. Whether the industry is private security or any other form, all we're asking for is a fair, equitable, and just environment that allows people to earn a decent income to be able to live a decent life. We're not asking for more, and we're not going to settle for less. Mr. Harper, over to you, sir.
Yes, sir. And with those words, we've come to the end of our program. I want to thank everyone for coming on. Thank you, Ms. Taylor, for coming on. So many times her internet dropped out and she came back on and dropped out again. So thank you, Ms. Taylor. I want to thank Mr. Williams for coming on as well and sharing his views. And of course, the callers that called in. I want to thank you all. Teddy Lee Gray, the one who just called. Thank you for calling. Mr. Wright, Winston Wright, thanks for calling in. And all the other people that have called in to help to make this program a really interesting program. So with that, I will end tonight's show and say good night to everyone. Remember, one Jamaica, stronger together.
Good night, everyone. Thanks again, and see you tomorrow, God willing. But remember, let us all stand with each other. We must not allow the security guards to lose out. We must not allow the people of Pleasant Hill in Lloydersville to lose out. We must not allow the people of Clifton in Portmore or Bernard Lodge to lose out. We must not allow any Jamaican to lose out. Let us stand together and stand for our rights. One Jamaica. See you soon. Take care. Oh, by the way, give me 100% now if we did well tonight.
Yes.
Let's not miss that. How we did tonight, guys. If you are happy with the direction, go ahead, Mr. Harper. I'm gonna talk too much. Your turn.
No, man, that's fine. If you're happy with the direction that the program went in, please, and I'm gonna follow Mr. Patterson's direction yesterday. Type 100, right? Wade Noble has already dropped in 100. Thank you, Wade. So 100 if it was top notch, really informative, and if it's not informative, then you give us one anywhere 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20. All right. So Keith Romans 1,000. Wow. When I reach there, but thanks, Keith. Christine Simpson 100, and that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times with hearts. Wayne Spence 100%. Me 2,000. Sweet Lady 100. Pat Lewis 100%. Kirk percent 100. Devereaux 100%. Mr. P 100. I like is it Kenesia Price says I like what he's saying, makes perfect sense. Yes, Mr. Patterson always makes perfect. Well, most times.
Not always. Not. I like that. He corrected himself. I don't always make perfect sense, but sometimes. No problem.
Most times. Sylvester Lawrence, 100. So it seems like everybody enjoyed our program, and we really appreciate that you enjoyed it. We put a lot of work into our programs every night, so it's good to hear that you're getting value, and that's what's important for us. It's not just about coming on and providing entertainment, but I mean, you want to entertain, but really we want to educate, and that's what the UIC is all about.
If you're in the diaspora, please remember, help us to reach 1,000 donors at $25. We're really asking for this because it's the only way we're going to get 228 candidates in each of the divisions and 63 in each of the constituency. We need 1,000. I think we're about 160 right now or somewhere there. We need to get to 1,000. So bring us 840 more, please. Everyone that gives $25 a month recurring on our online portal, you're really helping. And for all of us here in Jamaica or around the world, all it takes is $250 a week. If we have 250,000 Jamaicans here at home giving $250 a week, you are destined to a new government, a better government, and a better Jamaica. Only 250,000 of us, out of a voter population of nearly 2 million. If 250,000 of us give $250 a week, $1.61 US a week, we can take back this country, fix this country, and give every Jamaican a safe, clean, and orderly society where all of we can live, earn, and retire with dignity in our own country. One Jamaica. Stronger together. See you tomorrow. Take care.
Tomorrow, guys.